everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany. If you're new here, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for checking out this fun channel. I'm excited today to be filming a kitchen clean and organize with me. Now, it is technically spring. It is March 21st, I believe, when I am filming this. I don't know how many days this is going to take me to do. I have a big kitchen, a lot of cabinets, and I haven't done this since I moved in. I have not fully emptied out my cabinets and gone through what's inside since I moved in, and we've been here almost 12 years. So needless to say, it needs to get done. We are home right now, unexpectedly, as I'm sure we all are, so I figured I would take this time to get this done. I did print out a couple of cleaning checklists, a couple of spring cleaning checklists that I found on Pinterest. I'll have them linked down below. I'm just going to use them as like a rough draft of what should be cleaned, so that way I don't forget anything. Like I said, this is going to take a couple of days, I have a feeling, because I have a lot of cabinets and a lot of things that need to be cleaned out. So I did pick up a couple of things from the Dollar Tree over the last couple of weeks. However, I probably won't have everything I need to organize my cabinets and my pantry perfectly, but I'm gonna have to deal with what I've got because, well, I can't go out and buy anything right now. The Dollar Tree is not open at this time. I might be able to order some things online, but we'll see. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Thanks for joining me today. Let's get to cleaning. To get started, I quickly unloaded the dishwasher and did the dishes. I didn't do any deep cleaning or anything. I just wanted to make sure that everything was put away so I knew what I was working with and I could do the most organizing possible.
We've had this conversation and you seem to agree with me, but when there's complications you withdraw and leave me to be. When there's a problem you become like a wall, and every time I trip it's a free fall. Why don't you help me the way I help you? You don't have to say.
I took a second to look over the cleaning lists and I highlighted the things that I wanted to work on today. This will be a 3-part video: cleaning the kitchen, spring cleaning the downstairs, but this is where I was getting started. I really needed to declutter these cabinets. It had been forever. Once I got those highlighted, I went ahead and filled the sink with bleach water. I also added some into a bowl, which was easy to maneuver around the kitchen, and that's what I used to clean out the inside of the cabinets as well as the outside of the cabinets. I started with the most used cabinet, and that was the one right above my dishwasher with all of our dishes. It didn't need to be organized. It always stays organized. It just needed to be wiped down. So I took everything out of the cabinets and I vacuumed them out and then I wiped them down really well. What I decided to do when I was cleaning out the kitchen was to wipe down the entire cabinet as I went along. That way when I was done with that cabinet, it was done entirely. So the inside was wiped out, the outside was wiped out, and of course then it was all organized inside. And that way when I was done, I was done. And I will tell you that after the 2 full days of cleaning out this kitchen, I was so happy that I chose to do it that way and that I didn't have to go back and re-clean the cabinets after doing all of the inside. So I highly recommend that you do the inside and outside of each cabinet as you go, just to make sure that it's done and you don't have to go back to it.
Just be my parachute. Oh,
as this video goes on, you will not see me clean the outside of every single cabinet. I did do it. I did scrub every single cabinet really, really well. It's just that if I would have shown you that footage for every single cabinet, we would have been here for 2 hours. So I don't show it for every single cabinet, but I do wipe down the inside and the outside with the bleach water, and I felt like it made a huge difference. Moving on to my cups and glasses and mugs. This cabinet is deceitfully deep. You can't really tell, but to the right there, it goes down behind the other cabinets. And so there was stuff back there that had so much dust, things that I just didn't even realize I still had. So I went ahead and took everything off. Again, I cleaned it all with the bleach water, and I only put back things that had lids and things that I used. I did get rid of a ton of things that were in this cabinet, and it felt really good. I also want to take a second to just mention that I did speed things up a little faster in this video than I normally would. Again, just to save some time and to cut back on the length of the video. I have a lot of cabinets in my kitchen and they needed cleaning so badly that it really did take me a long time. So to just make sure this video isn't too long, I did speed it up a little more than I typically do. Had to change out the bleach water about every 2 cabinets just because they were so filthy. I don't show it every single time, but I did this repeatedly. In fact, I almost finished my entire bottle of bleach. I also added in a little bit of essential oil for the smell. This next cabinet is my baking and cooking cabinet, and oh my gosh, it was just overflowing with stuff between the recipe books and just stuff that needed to be organized. It was such a misutilized space, so I was really looking forward to getting this section organized and pretty so that it was easy to use. And I'm really, really happy with the way it looks. For the past 2 days, I just keep looking in there because I'm so happy with how organized it is. I collect salt and pepper shakers, and what I just showed you was a casualty of this declutter and clean, and that was a salt shaker that was a cute little pumpkin. Unfortunately, I'll just have to get more, but I'm happy to say that was the only casualty throughout these 2 days. I couldn't believe some of the cookbooks that I still had, things that I hadn't used in years. It was really good to free up a lot of that space. I loved using my Dyson vacuum to get all of the dust and the crumbs and anything else that was in the cabinets out before wiping them down. It was so easy, and it just made the job a lot faster and easier.
Maybe I'm a bird following the seasons. This is what I've learned. I'm different for a reason. Kept the engine on, never stayed too long. I'm alright, I don't mind being restless. Something in your eye made me stay all night. I can see you are different too.
The binder you see me trying to make fit in the cabinet is actually full of printed recipes. I love having this so that when I find something that we love from Pinterest or online or something a friend has emailed, I print it out and I put it in a sheet protector in this binder, and it's really been very helpful. So I wanted to make sure I had it somewhere easily accessible because I use it all the time.
Love me like a stranger. Maybe you're a bird singing for believers, a song meant to be heard, but never meant for preaching. I don't know where you're gonna head off to, but I know.
Over the past month or so, I've been collecting these plastic bins from the Dollar Tree. I had hoped to find them all in the same colors. They had a really pretty gray, but unfortunately they were hardly ever in stock, so I grabbed what I could. I was considering spray painting them to have them all one color, but honestly, they're in the cabinet and I don't mind the splash of color when I open them up. So I used them to house items that are smaller and were taking up some space. So in the one, I had a bunch of items that weren't as frequently used, things I used for baking, like flavorings, Caro syrup, things like that. And in the other one, I kept things that we use regularly, like vegetable spray and baking soda and salt. That way it was just easy to take the basket out of the cabinet whenever we needed to use it. The final product is so amazing. It's my favorite transformation out of this whole kitchen declutter, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. Much easier to use now for sure. I am a firm believer in working smarter, not harder. So when I got to these two little cabinets above the stove, I made sure that I deep cleaned the fan so that I didn't have to come back up here to do that. These cabinets are very rarely used. I just house some vases and some little tins that we use for parties or gatherings, so it was a really easy space to keep clean. But I just wanted to make sure that I scrubbed down those cabinets from the outside and I vacuumed the inside really well. Moving on to this cabinet with a bunch of spices and cans. This area stays pretty organized for the most part, or at least it seemed when I first opened it, until I got to the top and started pulling things out and realized I had items that were in there since my daughter's 4th birthday. She's 13, so some things have been up there for a really, really long time. This was my second favorite transformation. I love the way it turned out. I'm not a color coordinator or anything like that. I just like to make sure it's functional and things are easy to grab. And I'm really happy with the way this cabinet turned out. We also have a pantry right next door to this cabinet, so we've got a lot of food storage in our kitchen. But this is a great space for all of our canned goods and seasonings and spices. And again, like I said, this was just one of my absolute favorite transformations in the kitchen. I purchased this spice holder from the Dollar Tree many, many years ago, probably 10 years ago now, and it has followed us in every house we've ever lived in ever since. It's really nice because it helps keep your spices leveled so you can see them, and it makes it really easy to have them on display.
Oh, I know he got me good in his pocket. I know that I'm just a treat. Well, the taste is better. Oh, go on, showing my bones, and when he's done, he's fading me out. I just can't help myself. One for the pain, no hesitation. Took us again, nothing can save us. Yeah, I just wanna be around you. I just wanna be free for the night, all in or nothing. Not gonna stop, dance till the morning light. I just wanna be around you. I just wanna be around you. He looks at me like I know what he's thinking, but I don't have a clue. True talent in avoiding conversation.
In our kitchen, we have this one lonely cabinet at the end by our back door, and we use this as a medicine cabinet downstairs, and it was awful. I was dreading this cabinet so much. I have organized this thing probably 100 times, and it just never stays organized, but hopefully this time it will. Again, I took everything out of the cabinets, I vacuumed them out, and then I wiped them down really well with the bleach water inside and outside before putting things back in.
All in or
Again, I grabbed a couple of baskets that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. This one here that you see was taller in size, and I really thought it was perfect for any of the bottled medicine. So I filled that one up really quickly with all the bottled medicine I could find before putting it back up into the cabinet.
Share my lipstick, taste my breath.
For the next basket, I grabbed a bigger one to hold our vitamins and any pill bottles that were over-the-counter medicines like pain medicine, allergy medicine, that type of thing. Things that we grab every single day. I also had my husband go through all of the prescribed medication, and we put that in its own container. That way it was easy to find, and it had a little bit of a lid. Then I put everything back into the cabinet, and again, I'm just so happy with the way this turned out. It's been really easy to grab what we need throughout the day. That was the last upper cabinet I had to work on. Now it was time to move on down to the floor and get the bottom cabinets done. I was dreading these only because I do not have pull-out cabinets. So I had to get down onto the ground and pull everything out. And because it's down on the ground, they definitely were more dirty than the rest since they weren't utilized as often. So I had to get down in there and clean it all out. And I had a ton of things that I don't use. So it was nice to see them and reorganize them, get rid of things that we don't use, and then find new homes for things that we do. Kind of remind ourselves of what we have so we could utilize things in the kitchen. And just like I mentioned how I was trying to complete one cabinet area at a time and completely finishing it, I did the same with the drawers. So right above this section is a drawer that houses our oven mitts and cooling racks. So I went ahead and cleaned that one out really quickly. Again, I used the vacuum to just make sure all the dust was out, and then I cleaned it with the bleach water before putting anything back in. This cabinet next to my stove houses all of my baking items and bakeware, as well as cookie sheets and things like that. I use a lot of this stuff very regularly, but I hadn't been through it in a really long time. So I was able to pull everything out and go through majority of it. It did make me want to have a party, I have to say. I had some Dollar Tree bins that I had already organized a while back full of cupcake things and cake pop items, any type of party decor that I would need for baking. So I just kind of went through those again, made sure that everything fit inside those bins, wiped them down, and then put them back into the cabinet in an organized fashion. Once I finished that cabinet, I moved up above to the drawer. This is one of 2 utensil drawers that we have. I also have a jar on the counter full of utensils. And there's a ton of stuff in here that I honestly never used. My mother-in-law stuffs my stocking every year with kitchen utensils, half of which I probably don't even know what they are, but it's a fun pastime. So I just cleaned out what I had. I do have little tiny shoe boxes in here that I was using for organization before, and I didn't get rid of them. They actually were kind of nostalgic because they were from my daughter's little tiny shoes. I've had them in there that long, so I didn't get rid of them. I did get rid of the lids and added some little plastic bins that I'd purchased at the Dollar Tree after adding in a liner that I also purchased from the Dollar Tree, really just to prevent things from moving around every time we open and close the drawer. This second utensil drawer was jam-packed with items that we hardly ever use, so I was able to throw a lot of things away. Again, I put in the liner just to keep things from sliding around, and I only kept things that we absolutely use, whether it's weekly or like the turkey baster and such, where we only use on holiday occasions and things like that.
Well, my heart wants to stay. I run away, hit the road, and almost stayed. But I keep turning back just like a boomerang. You're like a backseat ghost telling me to stop. No matter what you do, I keep on coming back. Just like a boomerang. Just like a boomerang. Just like a I keep on spinning like a boomerang. Know exactly where to push or pull, and I am going mad just like you knew I would. You're reading me like an open book. You know me better than I ever thought you could. You see
This utensil drawer was not the worst I'd ever seen it, but it definitely needed some help. So I took everything out, vacuumed it out, wiped it down with the bleach water, and then added in some more of the liner. This one I was really excited to have the liner in because we have a plastic utensil holder and it slides around every time you open it. So this really has kept everything from moving, and it's been really, really nice.
I keep on spinning like a boomerang. My head is spinning on my shoulders. So what's the use of trying, baby? All the ways they lead to you. You're like a magnet pulling me in. I run away, hit the road, and almost stayed. But I keep turning back just like a boomerang. You're like a backseat ghost telling me to stop. No matter what you do, I keep on coming back. Just like a
Moving down into these bottom 2 cabinets, this is where we keep all of our pots and pans. We have our wok down here. We have our Pyrex baking dishes, all of our, anything we use for cooking, like the Dutch oven. I did have a lid holder that I purchased from IKEA several years ago, except it just wasn't being utilized. So I did make sure that all of that got organized. And again, as I've mentioned already, everything was taken out. I wiped everything down with the bleach water before putting it back in. My oldest son puts our dishes away and empties our dishwasher, so I wanted to make sure I kept everything pretty easy to put away so that it would stay organized. Otherwise, all of this was going to be in vain. This corner cabinet here is where we keep all of the kids' dishes and cups. I keep them down low so it's easy for them to grab. And there really wasn't a lot in here, so I didn't show me taking everything out, but I did clean it all out and get it nice and organized. Next, it was time to move on to one of the cabinets I'd been putting off and dreading, and that's the Tupperware cabinet. I was taking things out one by one, and then I finally just put my arm in and dumped everything out. Everything was a mess in there. My oldest son had been having one of my younger boys help him put things away, and so things were just thrown in there all over the place. So I took everything out. I only kept the items that had a top. If I couldn't find a lid, it had to go to the recycle bin. I used one of these taller baskets that I had picked up at the Dollar Tree to hold the smaller Tupperware. That way I didn't have to worry about having it take up space in there, and it was just easier to keep it all confined. I really like the way this turned out. This cabinet was really dirty. I'm not really sure why it was so dirty, but it took me a long time to clean this one out. But once I got everything disinfected and cleaned and wiped down, I was able to put everything back in and keep it really nice and organized. I may or may not have told my son not to include my youngest in helping him put these things away ever again.
So I got what I deserved, you know it. I wanted it to hurt, so wrong of me to cross that line. If I could, I would push rewind. It's my fault, I'll give you my heart, you can crush that.
And like a true procrastinator, it was finally time to do the cabinet I had been dreading. This is where we keep all of our homework items and any kind of miscellaneous item. We've got Play-Doh down here. I've got all of our nail polishes. I mean, so much stuff down here. I had been dreading this cabinet. It was literally the last one. At this point, it was like 7 o'clock at night. I was considering not doing it, but I just had to get it done, and I'm so thankful I did. took a minute to reorganize our homework bins, which had now turned into homeschooling bins, before wiping out the cabinets and getting everything put back in. We've had these bins forever, ever since my daughter started kindergarten, and she's now in 7th grade. We now have 2. We started with 1, but we do have 5 kiddos in school now. And I do have the 2 little soap holders that I use for crayons.
I'm waving the white flag. I'm waving the white flag. I'm waving the white flag, yeah.
I threw away a ton of things from this cabinet. It was so good to just purge a lot of the stuff in here. There was so much trash and just papers galore.
I'm waving the white flag.
All of the things that we use regularly or daily, I kept to the front, and things that are used sometimes I pushed back towards the back. This was a really deep cabinet, so I was able to get a lot of space in here. The round basket I also purchased from the Dollar Tree. I love the size and shape of this, and I put some extra items that the kids use with the Play-Doh and the kinetic sand in there and kept it really easy to grab. And just like that, the last cabinet was done, and it felt so good until I realized I still had one more drawer to go. The dreaded junk drawer. I saved this one for the very last. It was like 8 o'clock at this point, but it really wasn't terrible. I just had to kind of reorganize things. So again, I took everything out. I vacuumed it out. I cleaned it down with fresh bleach water. I did put some more of the liner that I purchased from the Dollar Tree in there to keep things from sliding around. And the little baskets that you see inside there, also from the Dollar Tree, they do have rubber on the bottom to keep them from sliding, but stuff still moved around. So having that liner in there just really keeps everything in one spot and makes it really easy to keep things from sliding everywhere every time you close it. Like I had said, most of these items I had already organized a couple of months back, so it really wasn't that terrible, but it looked a lot nicer when I was done. The last area in the kitchen is our pantry, which I'm just kind of showing you here. We had just cleaned this out over Christmas break, and we try to keep it pretty organized, and we had to make room for a bunch of food over this last week, so it really wasn't bad at all. So I decided to leave this one alone for now, and that is it for this video. I hope that you found it to be inspirational and motivational. Hopefully you got some ideas on how to store things in your kitchen. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe so you can come back and see me next time, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
I want to be daring, baby, dance the night away. I let my head down if I won. Don't you just get tired chasing fame and being